Hey everyone! What unfolded on that quiet morning was not television as we usually understand it. It was something rarer, heavier, and far more intimate. A moment that slipped past the guardrails of daytime TV and landed squarely in the hearts of millions. A confession. Not rehearsed, not polished, just raw truth spoken aloud when silence became too heavy to carry. The segment on Live with Kelly&Mark began the way it always does, warm, familiar, comforting, the kind of routine that feels like background music to daily life. Perhaps there was laughter about the weekend, a playful aside about parenting their kids, or an easy back and forth the audience has come to expect. The studio relaxed, viewers leaned back. Nothing felt out of the ordinary. And then something shifted. It wasn't announced, there was no dramatic cue. It arrived quietly, in body language before words. Mark Consuelos straightened slightly. His hands, usually animated and expressive, stilled. His gaze dropped for just a second too long. When he looked back up, toward his wife, his partner, his anchor, there was a seriousness that could not be mistaken. When Mark spoke, the tone changed. His confident baritone softened, roughened at the edges. This wasn't banter. This wasn't a soundbite. This was a man choosing honesty over comfort. He spoke of a health scare, not in vague generalities, but with the weight of someone who had lived with the fear in silence. A test, a symptom that refused to be ignored. A moment when a doctor's words lingered longer than they should. The details mattered, but not as much as what sat beneath them. The real confession lived in the spaces between sentences. He talked about the fear, the late-night Googling no one admits to, the cold dread that settles into your chest when the house is quiet, the what-ifs that spiral in the dark. He admitted to carrying the burden alone, shielding his wife, his children, the world, because that's what strong men are taught to do. Be steady, be reliable, don't flinch. In that instant, the illusion cracked. The idea that strength means silence was quietly dismantled on live television. Then the camera found Kelly Ripa. The seasoned host vanished. The woman who can steer any conversation, fill any silence, suddenly wasn't hosting at all. She was listening, really listening. Her reaction wasn't dramatic, it was human. Shock flickered first, then fear, then love so intense it almost hurt to witness. Her eyes searched his face, looking for reassurance he couldn't give yet. The tear that fell wasn't staged or singular. It was the overflow of years of partnership, love, fear, a flash of hurt that he had carried this alone, and an instinctive need to protect him now that she knew. She may have reached for his hand. She might have whispered, "Why didn't you tell me?" A question that echoed far beyond the studio into living rooms and kitchens across the country. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full, thick with shared humanity. No applause, no audience cues, just breath held in unison. In that moment, Mark traded invincibility for integrity, and it changed everything. The clip spread like wildfire, not because it was shocking, but because it was necessary. In a world of curated perfection, Mark's confession shattered the myth that health, safety, and certainty can be bought with fame or fitness. Biology doesn't care who you are. Fear doesn't discriminate. His vulnerability reminded us that even the most admired lives carry unseen battles. But the moment resonated even deeper because it challenged how we define masculinity. For decades, Mark's public image leaned into strength, charm, confidence. Here, he modeled something far braver, the courage to admit fear, to say, "I'm scared," out loud. Especially for men watching, it was permission to stop pretending. At its core, this wasn't about illness, it was about partnership. What viewers witnessed was marriage in its most honest form, not red carpet smiles or anniversary tributes, but in sickness and in health, unfolding in real time. Kelly didn't fix anything, she didn't have answers, she showed up, fully, present, unflinching. That's love.
To understand why this moment hit so hard, you have to look at the foundation beneath it. Kelly and Mark's love story has always felt almost mythic. They met in 1995 on the set of All My Children, sparks flying immediately. Their whirlwind romance, secret engagement, Vegas elopement, fearless commitment became part of pop culture lore. For nearly 30 decades, they've grown up in public, built careers, raised children, laughed through chaos. When Mark joined Kelly behind the desk in 2023, it felt like destiny completing a circle. Their marriage became the engine of the show, playful, imperfect, deeply affectionate. Which is exactly why this confession landed like an earthquake. The image of effortless stability cracked just enough to reveal something far more powerful beneath it: resilience, honesty, a bond strong enough to hold fear without breaking. In the days that followed, headlines exploded, clips circulated, but something more important happened quietly. Conversations started. People called their spouses, scheduled checkups, admitted fears they'd been hiding. On the show, everything looked the same, but felt different. The teasing remained, but now there were glances that lingered longer, hands that found each other instinctively, a sense that this couple had walked through fire and come back closer. Under studio lights designed for laughter, America witnessed truth, and in doing so, found itself reflected back. Because behind every perfect image is a human heart, and sometimes the bravest thing you can do is say out loud what you've been carrying alone, and trust that love will meet you there.